So I came across a little problem, right, in the beginning of this experiment. And that problem is the fact that I don't have a lighter. Um, I'm not gonna go buy a lighter or matches. And there are ways to go about this experiment where I can, substitute a heat source. The issue is quickly this experiment can become a hazard where my house can catch fire. All of which I've taken into consideration that they're not worth it. And I'm not going to go and buy a candle, matches, or any of these things for this grade. It's not worth it. So if I lose points, I'll lose points. Um, Not for this experiment, really. For a little water balloon. But simply said, right? Um, then I'll start this experiment, right? What are you doing? The simple difference between heat and temperatures between plastic and the expansion and despansion of the chemical, not the chemical, but the acceleration of how the fabrics and the amount of temperature before something heats reaches its absolute maximum of how much it can stretch, right? And I personally find that fascinating. In here, we're gonna simulate everything, right? Because safety comes first. I didn't actually think of that. I figured I was gonna come across an issue like that. That's been turn. But yeah, so this reaction with the simulated fire, right? Because I'm not gonna put my house in danger in these circumstances. Because I don't have a lighter, I'm not gonna go buy one because I don't need one, and I haven't had a need for a lighter. A That's funny. There we go. And I have ways to work around it. God damn it. But the ways to work around this, basically intel of me bringing in a source of open flames to the places where I am experimenting, and this forms, I'm not gonna do that, right? Those forms are either using my stovetop, right, as a source of heat, to conduct this experiment, grabbing a piece of paper, burning it, so that I can continue with this experiment. In addition, other forms of bringing forth an external source of heat are things like a candle, which again I don't have, and I'm not gonna go spend $15-20 on a candle for an experiment when, again, 27 years I've never needed one. Once again, I can grab matches, come over here, and start using matches, which would be the least expensive form. Start a fire. My house catches on flames. not necessarily worth it, right? Not gonna go spend $10 on a lighter when this lighter I haven't had a need for the last 10, 27 years, right? So on that case, what I'm gonna end up doing, I'm just gonna necessarily stimulate this experiment for the sole purpose of my particular home economics doesn't and will not necessarily need lighter, candles, or any forms of matches because I haven't needed them, right? Any other forms to work around these needs basically create a safety hazard for my house or my um, the environments that I'm in that don't are not necessarily worth it, right? But here I have the balloon, and here I have a air balloon, right? Basically, what happens while introducing the heat elements and the water is that you create a barrier of temperature resistance, right? Where the chemical and the plastic between the balloon and the water, it allows it not to hit its capacity before the plastic reaches its limit and it breaks and it's done, right? Whereas when we have our regular non-water balloon, right, that thermal plastics, it's not there. Thermoplastic, the heat kinetic capacity is not there, right? So there's no barrier between when the plastic is going to hit its limit and when it's going to basically stretch to the point where it can no longer maintain its elastas. I'm not going to be able to pronounce this word, but the elastic, right? So it's going to stretch, break, pop, and that's going to be the same barrier where if I had the flame here and I go between the water and the plastic, have it fire on, and then I go over here, then that barrier between the temperatures is no longer reaching. The second I go over here, it blows up. The second it's down here, it will no longer blow up. And it's actually a very simple reaction that I've actually used to use a lot when I was younger. Yep. You see this reaction play a lot when you have a water balloon laying down in the sun, right? And there's a difference in temperature between how the sun actually warms the balloon and eventually randomly pops up. That's because of the difference between the heat. And that's really it. Yep. Once again, I apologize for not being able to use the heat. I just know that in my particular case, my workarounds weren't going to be worth it. Would have caused too much of a safety hazard.